Former NBA player Ben McClemore was found guilty of SA and grape on Thursday, July the 3rd, 2025, sending shockwaves, through the NBA world to see a guy that was he played a lot of years in the NBA. I believe he was overseas before he got arrested with this. But anyway, the incident allegedly happened over his teammates at the time, Robert Covington, at his house after a party that he had in a bathroom in Lake Oswego, Oregon on October the 3rd, 2021. So that's the stage, that's the location, that's the context of this whole thing. So here we are. She's 21 years old. So this was what, almost 4 years ago. So she would be 25 now. He's 30 now, so he would be 26. She claims that she was not able to consent. So if you can't consent, that means that you are out of there. You are unconscious. And she's saying that he just took it. Okay? Allegedly. But she also she said that she was as drunk as she's ever been in her whole entire life on that night. She was hammered, unconsciously drunk. That's what she said initially. I read the excuse me. I read the statements, the facts that was presented in court. I followed that case, and she claimed that she was hammered and was unconscious, but then she came back later and said she was partially conscious and was able to recollect some of the events because she was able to gain consciousness partially before the act was over. Now, these two people do not know each other until they don't know each other. They met at the party. He didn't know her before, and she didn't know him before. So how long do we think that this whole thing took place? Really? It couldn't have been that long. And everybody that I've ever seen that was hammered and unconscious, they're not waking up in 10 minutes. They're not. And this was brought to the law enforcement last February. Charges was finally brought against him, and he was arrested April of 2024. So, but this happened in 2021. So, I don't know. I'm not saying that he didn't do it or did, but this is one of them things where it can go either way. I mean, nobody has a witness. She didn't go to the police or the doctor. So it's not really a witness, but it's a strong allegation. And when you look at the optics, he was a basketball player, 6'6", black man. She was 21. Who I don't know how she looked. I don't know how big or small she is, but to the optics, that doesn't look good. You're gonna believe, and she's Caucasian. So, and it's all good to the brothers that that do that. It's all good when it's good, but once it goes bad, it can really be bad. McLemore, he disputes the claims. Obviously, he claims that the act was consensual. He claims that she had consciousness and was sober enough to consent. So he's stating the exact opposite of what she's saying. It's not any evidence that he's right, but it wasn't any evidence that she was right either. So I don't know. It to me, it seems a little fishy, but when you put yourself in that position, then things like that happen. You know, you being an athlete, you got to move different. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can't just make impulsive decisions like that. You got to make decisions that are going to be to your best interest as well as your family. So much money and so much is riding on a decision and a choice, So he made a choice that is going to cost him, some time. But this is a bad situation, The optics don't look good, and pretty much the optics say to the prosecuting attorney is that he's this big black athlete, 6'6", and he's basically demonizing him, to be this villain that took advantage by her being unconscious. He just took advantage of her, even though we have no proof, but this is what the angle that he pushed. And, and she's being portrayed as the hero, like with courage and bravery to come forward with your testimony. And this is what he said, so I'm just stating the facts of what I read. So that's the picture that he painted, and the optics was not in McClemore's favor. And basically, he ended up being convicted of this act. So, and the DA, the district attorney, also said, "We prosecute anyone. We don't care who they are, regardless." Basically saying that he was motivated to know that he was an athlete, and I think that that's what motivated the whole process to work against him. So on Wednesday, July the 9th, he will have his hearing, and he's going to have his sentencing. Ben McClemore can face up to 8 years in prison for this alleged SA and grape incident. So, it's a tough situation. Hate it for the brother. But anyway, go ahead and give me a like, for the work, for this good content. I'm giving you facts. I watched this case, and I'm giving you truth. So go ahead and give me a like for that. You got to respect truth. State your opinion. How do you feel about Ben McClemore and his decision and the whole process and by him being convicted? Just tell me your thoughts, man. And go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We gonna keep coming. You know what I'm talking about? Holla back. I'm out.